the American Pit Bull Terrier of old and modern times. These scenes were filmed in America, in a breeder's backyard where the dogs are taking their exercise. Previously seen hanging from trees, here doing a bit of a tug of war, enjoying themselves with their owner, friend Butch, in Louisiana. Here's Whitey playing with a large, heavy bowling ball. Again with Butch playing together. The dog does this for hours. Here we have Reid's Tramp, a large 21 inches at the shoulder and 70 pound in weight American Pit Bull Terrier, enjoying a workout on the flirt pole. This is Reid American, the first ever American Pit Bull Terrier imported into the British Isles. He was afraid of nothing, even a tiger. He'd face anything. This scene was filmed in America in the early 1960s. Dogfighting, illegal dogfighting, both in the USA and here in England. More about this later in this film. Here we have weight pulling here in the UK. Fast growing and very, very popular sport with American Pit Bull Terrier fanciers. Powerful dogs, really coming up to scratch at this legal activity. Here we have Bojangles, owned by Trevor Arkwright. Terrific stamina displayed here at flirt pole. Confirmation showing also here in England, becoming very popular with American Pit Bull Terrier people, all of which will be going on later in this film. Here we have baby Nicola, 8 days old, with American Pit Bull Terrier Jessie. We'll be into more of this later in this film. The American Pit Bull Terrier of old and modern times. Ten-year-old Steffi, seen playing with Trudy. Trudy was one of the first American Pit Bull Terrier bitches imported into the British Isles. beautiful temperament. Same here with Al Capone, seen just a while back facing off to a tiger, and yet playing here with 12-year-old Andrew, showing his reliable disposition. When he jumps for that rag, you'll note that he jumps for the rag, not for the boy's arm. Capone knows exactly what he's doing. He's a reliable, typical American Pit Bull Terrier with people. He knows the difference. Again, we have 10-year-old Snicker playing with Sassy, a year-old American Pit Bull Terrier, just enjoying themselves on the lawn, playing as they so often do. The beautiful nature of Sassy here. Very playful, wonderful disposition. Print showing the old-time type of bulldog used in the early Bull and Terrier crosses. Here we have a terrier, a ratting terrier, of a type used with bulldogs to develop, as seen here. The Bulldog Terrier, or Bull Terrier, in the very early stages here in England. Some of the early fighting dogs in this old print, here in England, about 1820. Around the same era, a bull and terrier fighting with a monkey called Jacko Macaco. A bull baiting with bulldogs, late 1700s, here in England. An early Bull Terrier type in England, early 1800s. Some more, and another, early Bull and Terriers, later become known as the Bull Terrier. Another one. These prints showing the wide variations in the resulting early stages of the Bull Terrier type of dog here in England, where these dogs originated. The Old English White Terrier seen here, another type used with the Bulldogs. A publication from America, the Dog Pit, from sporting dog circles in America. Crib, an old-time sporting American Pit Bull Terrier, late 1800s in America. The Gashouse Dog, late 1800s in America, very famous sporting American Pit Bull Terrier. Cockney Charlie Lloyd's Pilot, dog born in England taken to America in the early 1880s. This is the first ever weight pulling contest held in England. It was held in 1985 at Salford University in Manchester. It's worth mentioning that on that particular day, although some of these dogs were very young, around a year old, some of them pulled over 800 pounds in weight. This is a young dog I rather like. I bred this dog myself. We call him Snicker. He's from Beauty and Skipper. He's around 18 months old in this park. From a puppy, I like just about everything about him. His attitude, he's got a beautiful nature, he's a real people dog. Just loves people. He takes Snicker anywhere at all, even on a bus. He just loves people. Regarding his exercises, I think this represents his attitude towards just about everything he does. That he means business. On the flirt pole, pulling, exercising, we see it all right here. He's very determined. He's around 50 pounds in weight. In real hard condition, he'd go down to about 45 pounds. But a lovely dog. He represents just about all that I look for in an American Pit Bull Terrier. We call him Snicker. Remember that name. Why is it? These scenes on dog fighting are being shown within this film. There are several reasons. One of them being that by far the greatest majority of American Pit Bull Terrier owners are not themselves particularly interested in involving themselves in the fighting of dogs for legal and humanitarian reasons. In this particular scene we're now watching, we see a Staffordshire Bull Terrier and an American Pit Bull Terrier. This was filmed in America in the early 1960s. A Staffordshire Bull Terrier, you might say, bred somewhat on show lines, with a shorter leg and a heavier build in general, against a typically bred Pit Bull. The Stafford having a disadvantage, as we can see here. He is, you might say, at a disadvantage by being a little more clumsy, although he's a capable dog, as they would say in sporting dog circles. They would say that he's got the right idea. But by his physique, compared to the longer reach and more athletic build of the Pit Bull, anyone can see by watching this that the Stafford is at a disadvantage. This is being pointed out because there is a fascination in American Pit Bull Terrier breeding and Staffordshire Bull Terrier breeding to breed what they call the correct type. This is a show dog term, correct type. Correct type means that the dog should be built so as it can do the job it was bred to do. There should be no doubt that the two dogs that we now see are built correctly for their job. These are two American Pit Bull Terriers bred from a long lineage of fighting pit dogs. Their length of leg, their litheness of body, length of neck, everything you see, because you see how they're built and why they're built, to have the agility, the litheness, and the general athletic abilities. They're almost like elastic, depending on the position the dog is placed in during combat. So for the enthusiast, who's not in the slightest interested in being involved in the fighting of their dogs, but who does want to develop by selective breeding and scientific breeding methods, by studying here the American Pit Bull Terrier at his work, illegal as it is in the USA and here in England, this is an opportunity to study the whys and wherefores of why the Pit Bull Terrier fighting dog should be built on the lines we see in front of us. As here, we're dealing with reality, not the figments of the overly imaginative show dog people, such as we find in Staffordshire Bull Terriers and English Bull Terriers, where they manufacture dogs according, you could say, to the flavor of the month, whatever they think they can pass off on the public as the real thing. And as we see, we'll be coming to this shortly within this film, where dealing with the truth doesn't come into it. After seeing this, the forward-thinking American Pit Bull Terrier breeder of today has a better idea on an outline of what qualities to breed for. And without breaking the law, they'll be able to preserve and retain the spirit, the intelligence, the athletic abilities, and general all-round qualities of these handsome animals, the American Pit Bull Terrier, for future fanciers become enthusiastic about. about to see were filmed on location at a dog show for American Pit Bull Terriers here in England on the date shown, promoted by the Intercontinental Kennel Club here in England. asked on the day, what is it they like most about the pit bulls? And they all answered unanimously, what we're doing here today is what we like most. Okay? And when interviewed on the day, the different people expressed their view. They liked the idea they could take their pit bull along to the show where they can enter him into conformation, flirt pull, weight pulling, and whatever they liked. And this gave them a whole lot of fun. And on interviewing the different people seen here, having questions being put to them, this was the general feeling. It was a good day out, and they were telling what a good time was had by all, and they're looking forward to the next show with the Intercontinental Kennel Club. Here we have the early stages of the English Bull Terrier and how they've been changed in the past 100 years by the show dog people. It seems they could never make their mind up what they're supposed to look like. You'll note, as we go through these pictures, that's around the 1960s, and the next two we'll see more into the present day. But looking back at those dogs, there's a great difference in how they've been changed over the years by show dog people. The present day English Bull Terrier, Staffordshire Bull Terrier, late 1800s. Another Stafford of around 1900, the early 1900s, here in England. Jim the Dandy, whom the old time breed standard was taken from, seen here being measured. Two very nice old time Staffordshire Bull Terriers. Edgebury Chieftain, around the 1940s here in England, a very well-known dog at obedience shows, seen here doing a jump. The modern type show dog. More squatly built than the original Staffordshire Bull Terrier of some 50 years ago when they were brought to the show ring. Shorter legged, heavier built. Very well-known champion show dog of the 1970s here in England. This was filmed at a show here in England, October '88, a conformation show. The camera will be played mainly on the dogs that found favor on the day. Aside from my saying this, I believe that the film will speak for itself. But as I said, the camera will play mainly on the dogs that did find favor on that show, on that day. This is the athletic Jessie, seen here working the sleeve. Jessie is so well known, seen at the shows and at weight pulling. A wonderful and very well known bitch. Same Jessie, seen here with 8-day-old baby Nicola on the bed. This bit of film was sent in by Nicola's proud father, Roger Tapster, who also owns Jessie. I think this film speaks for itself. I'll just leave the viewers to it. Here, as we conclude the film, we see Snicker walking down the road with Reid. And here we have Porky, a brother to Snicker, seen here with Reid, just messing about by one of the kennels at StockQuest. That due to some of the film that hasn't come out particularly well in this film, I want you to know that I'm not just passing it off, that I think it's some kind of a Hollywood production. It's certainly not. It has its shortcomings, but I think generally the content is of interest to everybody with an American Pit Bull Terrier, and I hope that you find that to be the case. Thank you very much.
Should be introduced. The vote comes as a father and daughter recovered from emergency surgery in hospital after being attacked by a pit bull terrier. The two were in their garden when the dog leapt over the fence and savaged them.
The attack was carried out by a pit bull terrier similar to this. It was alone in its owner's garden when it leapt over the wall and attacked two members of the family next door. 64-year-old Harold Skerritt and his grown-up daughter Patricia suffered deep wounds in their arms and legs.
I've just never seen so much blood. Dreadful, absolutely dreadful. I never want to see it again.
The dog has now been destroyed, and the owner was said to be so upset he smashed up the kennel. The RSPCA, who are campaigning for a national dog register, say the increasing number of attacks on people is just one of the problems created by Britain's growing dog population. In 1980, there were just over 5.5 million dogs in the country. By 1989, the number had increased to nearly 7.5 million. In the same time, there's been a jump from 733 to over 1,000 in the number of convictions for cruelty to dogs. One answer could be charging owners £20 to have a